When I was about 18 or 19 years old, I worked at a grocery store as a cashier. And one day, a man came through my line and he asked me for my phone number. And I told him, I don't give my phone number out at work. So then he asked me what time I got off of work. And, I tried to shut it down. I tried to change the subject. And he was just really persistent. And so I, just kept telling him no. He eventually left. And then a few hours later, he came back. And again, he was extremely persistent in asking for my phone number and what time I got off of work. And so I just kept telling him no. And again, he left. And later on, I told my supervisor what had happened. And she said to me, well, was he cute? And I remember feeling extremely defeated in that moment.
When I was in high school, I played both baseball and basketball, and I had a love for both those sports. But whenever my team and I didn't perform up to our coach's standards, they would resort to yelling at us and putting us down. When they would get angry, they would call us things like girls, bitches, and pussies.
I remember a few years ago when my son asked me to go with him to the salon to get a pedicure. And I'll admit, when we got there, I felt a little bit awkward and I was hoping that nobody would see us. After all, I felt like we were doing a girly thing, and it's the complete opposite of the barbershop, which is full of all the rules and expectations of what it means to be a man.
When I was in first grade, and I had this young teacher that I thought was super cool. And I was in class one day, and she was teaching, and the boy who sat behind me tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and he leaned in and kissed me on the lips out of nowhere. And I was completely appalled by this. And I shot my hand up, and my teacher turned around, and she could see that I was visibly distressed, and she said, "Lauren, what's wrong?" And I said, "Todd just kissed me." And she replied with, "Yeah, boys do stuff like that sometimes." And she turned around and kept on teaching.
Growing up, I was bullied for being gay before I ever really knew what that meant. I was always taught to be a real man meant hitting on chicks and playing sports and hanging out with the other boys, and that never really fit for me. So I was labeled as different and was made fun of for it. And my gender and my sexuality were tied together before I even really knew what either of those things meant for me.
As women, we are constantly fighting to be heard. When I say no, it's not perceived as no. When I share an opinion, it's not seen as valid. When I express an emotion, I am hysterical. And it is just an exhausting way to live.
So, whenever my coaches said these things, I would really emotionally shut down and perform even worse. Not only did I think that there was something wrong with the way that I was playing the sport, but it made me lose confidence in myself. I really took what they called me to heart, and I began to believe what they were saying about me. Ultimately, I lost the love that I once had for these two sports, and it took me a while to regain my confidence.
I've thought a lot about why I felt like my manhood was being challenged by getting a petty. It's because of all the negative messages that we receive as boys growing up about doing girly things, or the things that girls do more of, is somehow not manly and not cool. And messages like that certainly are harmful to me, and I'm sure that they're harmful to other men as well. Look, it's okay to do what you like. It's basic self-care. As a matter of fact, I can't wait to get my next petty.
And I remember just feeling completely shocked that she did not hold him accountable in any way. She did not tell him to not do it again. Nothing. And I think for me at that young age, it sent a really clear message to me about that as a girl, what I wanted didn't matter as much. and that as a boy he could do things and not get held accountable for them. And I just remember feeling this incredible sense of injustice.
It took me a while to unpack that being gay didn't make me any less of a man, and what it meant to be a man at all was up for me to decide.